Welcome to the Lovability Podcast. My name is Jennifer Stiers, and I'm here to talk love, relationships, sex, marriage, and everything in between. Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. I hope you're all are having a good day. Beginning to sound like the election last night or the debate last night. Let's not do that. Speak much, Jen. So today I wanted to give you all an opportunity to ask some of the questions that you ask. I mean, it's amazing. In most of my posts that I do daily, I get questions all the time, and sometimes I don't have time to personally respond to them. But sometimes you guys really fire me up. I wish I could. And so I thought this would be a fun thing for us to do today and just get some of your questions answered, kind of get your free coaching, right? So let's, hi Jamie, happy Friday to you too. I'm so glad it's Friday. So let's jump in. I'm going to go ahead and try to hit the ones that you guys sent in. I've got them in various places. So because a lot of you sent them an email, which is totally fine. But let's go ahead and jump on in. And remember, you guys, if ever you want to just listen to this, you don't have to always watch it here on YouTube, although I do have a YouTube channel too. But if you do ever want to watch it, it's always available to watch on YouTube. But you can listen to it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, whatever podcast station you listen to, Amazon, it's on there. So you can just listen to the audio without having to see my face, which I would much prefer. Okay, so let's hit the first question. So when a man speaks poorly of his ex, his mother, and his grandmother, and exes, any of the exes, obviously big red flag. Anybody, whether it's a man or a woman, I think one of the biggest red flags you look for is how do they speak about their previous partners and the previous relationships. I think it goes in kind of two parts. Number one, if they speak poorly about their family or their partners, personally, you have to look at who this person is and how they're showing up and what their credibility, accountability, and character is. Because anybody that you love, even if it's a parent, and as a counselor, I can say this, I have so many people that have been hurt by parents and they still love them. They may be hurt by them. They may have had to forgive them for things, but somebody that's healed from family relationships or from previous relationships or marriages, divorces, that kind of thing, they should be able to say, this is what happened, but this is my understanding of it now, right? So yes, my parents abused me and were never available for me, but I also understand after going through, some counseling that, this is what they were given and they did the best that they could and I forgive them now, can't change the past. That's somebody that's healed. So we want to be looking for signs of that when they speak about anybody that they should love or should have loved. And anybody, man or woman, that says that all of their exes are bad or crazy or this or that, that's a red flag you should absolutely walk away from. Unless, I think there are exceptions. If somebody were to say something like, well, we got married and after the marriage, something changed. So the person that they were before the marriage wasn't the same after. And this is what I did about it. So I tried to get counseling. We tried to talk about it. I tried to look at myself to see if it was something that I'd changed. So there's a different conversation around blame and accountability. And accountability is a big thing. I have to say, more than anything in relationships, I think that is one quality. If you're looking for, I know kindness is one of those that they've done a lot of research to show that that goes a long way in long-term relationships. That kindness is one of those traits that you should always look for. But I think accountability is something super important, because if somebody can't take accountability for their own actions, how they showed up, what their role was in something, anything in life, I don't care if it's business, personal, doesn't matter. Accountability is a huge thing. So I would be looking for that when they're talking about exes. Where is their accountability? Even if the ex cheated on them, right? Where's their accountability? What did they do about it? So that's the big piece, is you want to be listening for the healed piece of that. So that's it's actually a really good, very good question. And anybody that should be, especially if they have children with like an ex-spouse, if it's the mother of their children or the father of their children, they should have some level of peace too in that relationship. I can tell all of you that none of you want the drama. None of you want to be drawn into drama in a relationship. And I think probably we've all been there. Nothing's worse than getting in the middle of somebody else's drama. So make sure that whatever questions you ask and whatever information you get from somebody when you start dating them, you find out where they are. If they have an ex that they have kids with that they still have to interact with for any reason, what is that relationship? If they don't have kids, they shouldn't have to interact, right? But if they do have kids, they're going to have to interact with them for the rest of their life. What is that relationship like? How do they get along with them? That goes a long way in seeing what you're getting into, because otherwise you could be getting into a lot of drama. I do think the other piece of that is where you talk about what are you getting into in regards to that relationship if somebody does have an ex. The flip side of that is, what if they don't have kids? So I've gotten this question a lot. Happens not to be one of the questions that somebody asked this time, but I've gotten it before. There are people that stay friends with their exes. There are. How appropriate is that? If you don't have kids and there's not a reason for it, how appropriate is that moving forward? So I know there's plenty of you that are listening that are going to think about that too, because they've all known somebody that's like, why are you still talking to them if you're not, in a relationship with them? I think it has to be a very personal thing, right? So how friendly are they with them? Do they involve you in the conversation? Have you met that person? If they're hiding that person and hiding the conversations, that's a whole other situation that's probably not healthy. So I feel like it's something that needs to be discussed. There should be no reason why, if we were with somebody for a long time in a relationship, even a couple of years, and we have a friendship or some kind of relationship with them, just because you broke up does not mean that you shouldn't be able to be friends with them. It's just the level of disclosure, I think, that you have in your current relationship with your ex. So if your current boyfriend or girlfriend is talking to their ex on the phone, and maybe they have them on speakerphone while you guys are in the car driving to dinner, and you're involved in the conversation or you know about it and there's full disclosure there, I think it's perfectly healthy. I do, as long as you're okay with it. Rather it be out in the open than your ex or your current partner have to hide their ex from you, right? Now, I'm sure, hey, Brent, good to see you. I'm sure that some of you are going to feel differently about that. I think when you take into account people that are like anxious attached, they're probably not going to like that very much in regards to having somebody else in the loop. But I will say that it requires a conversation in the relationship. How do you guys feel about it? Make the decision together. If it's something that bothers you and you need some more disclosure or accountability in regards to it, ask for it. If they're not willing to give it to you, then you have a decision to make. But I feel like that is definitely something that happens a lot. And if you don't need to converse with that person, it's probably best to keep them out of your relationship. If you've moved on and your ex is still, still yanking at you for information, for advice, for, needing you, it's probably not healthy for you to continue that relationship at all. Again, it depends on the situation specifically, but it's something that definitely two people in a current relationship should discuss. Okay, so then I've got, why have I waited 5+ years or longer, or 5 years to date or longer? Part of the time was the heal. Why have I waited 5+ years to date? I don't know. Why have you waited 5+ years to date? Probably because you're trying to heal and get ready for it. And I think even once you've healed, it's perfectly healthy to just sit back and allow things to happen as they're going to. I think some people, unless you're like really actively looking for love and you're really desiring partnership at the moment, and that means it requires you to take action, whatever that be, go out, ask friends, hire a matchmaker, get on an app, whatever that may be, unless you're actively taking action toward it, it's okay sometimes to just heal and then sit back and allow things to happen. Because I think that whole process of dating, just getting in and getting your feet wet with different people is so important and so crucial in figuring out what you want. So you've healed from a previous relationship. Now you have to get your feet wet. People always think they know what they want, and take it from me, because I do this for a living. I can't tell you how many people come to me and go, I know exactly what I want, and blah, 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 blah. Then you set them up with that kind of person. They're like, you know what? I thought I wanted this, but I really don't. I thought I wanted somebody that has kids, but I really don't, because it adds a level of baggage to my situation that I'm not allowed, that I really don't want to handle. So I thought I could deal with somebody that had younger kids, but I've decided that that's not the case. It just, things change as you get out there and get dating. So I feel like you go at whatever pace you're comfortable, and don't judge yourself. So if you ever get to a point where you feel super motivated to want to date, then you can do so. You can speed things up, push things along a little bit, but don't pressure yourself to do so. Sometimes love just showing up is the best way for it to happen anyway. It'd be great if it wasn't a matter of, having to wait for it to show up at your front door, because some of you don't get out, and you need to. Traveling to a date, pros and cons. Unrealistic to date someone from another state. Well, I can tell you that out-of-state dating has its advantages and disadvantages. If you are somebody that's super independent, super busy, has a busy schedule, you're very secure attached, it can be fine. It can actually work out just fine as long as your partner is the same way. Right? Don't assume that your partner is the same. You need to make sure that they are. Don't assume, because in long distance relationships, I've seen this too. What happens is people meet and they're dating, and then somebody else comes into the picture, and because you're out of town, you can't see that the person on the nights you're not talking to them or seeing them is starting to see somebody else. It happens a lot. So there has to be a huge amount of trust between the long distance relationship. But I tend to think, and this is my opinion, and I'm going to give it just because I've been doing this a really long time. I tend to feel that people that do the best in long distance relationships are people that are super independent and super busy and super happy alone, but love having a partner when they can and when it happens, and are super okay with not having somebody also. That's one scenario. The second scenario is long distance relationships are really good for people and tends to attract people that are emotionally unavailable. I said it. So I'm going to say the first one, that person that's super busy, uber independent, those people that are secure, trustworthy. They don't need a compass to tell them how to act when their partner's gone. They don't have the time to cheat on them, nor the energy, and don't want to. It just takes a really special person to do that. Do they exist? They absolutely do. But this is like the 3% of the population deal. The rest of them are probably emotionally unavailable. So people choose long distance relationships because they're emotionally unavailable. So it's difficult to maintain. If you do it, you need to end it pretty quickly, either break off or move into the same city pretty quickly. So it's okay to do it temporarily as you're dating maybe somebody new, or you plan on moving to a certain city and you want to date somebody. Make sure that they're the right person and then you move. That's okay. It just all depends on the situation and your intentions. Feel free, guys, to also ask on the thread. Chris, can you watch my personal page for me to see if anybody's commenting? I should be able to do it from here too. Traveling today, we got that one. Old question, still debating. I have a glare on here. Hang on. Can men and women be friends? I've had some guy friends since I was 5 and 6. Never considered dating them. Can men and women be friends? God, that's a question. It's a good question. I think so. I believe they can wholeheartedly. I do think so. I think they're rarer. I think sometimes one of them has an agenda, from what I've seen. I know. I'll just say it personally. I've had my heart broken because I lost friendships because I thought I was friends with somebody that crossed the line, and it was heartbreaking when they crossed the line because I thought I had a friend. And that's a hard deal. But then again, you look at it, that was when, that's happened. But at the same note, some of our best friends that we do cross the line with, those make the best relationships. So I know so many people that took a chance on having a friend that they were just friends with, and then they decided I like them, there's something more there, and they took a chance on that, and then they have a great relationship and get married. So God, I know I'm going back and forth on some of these, but I just feel like there's so many times that these are just so just specific to situations. So you really have to look at them uniquely. Can we just be friends? Sure we can. But you just have to make sure that everybody's intentions are clear and it's clean. That's all. That's all. And if it ever does not get clean, if you're ever in a friendship with somebody and you end up having feelings for them, I think it's best to disclose that, in a safe place, to be able to say, I don't want this to ruin our friendship, but here's, something that's happened, so that you do it in a safe way without just making a pass at them and breaking their heart. So that is my answer. But yeah, I've got a lot of guy friends and would never want to date them ever. And we're just friends, and I don't think they want to date me either. So I'm sure you have them. You've had them since you were 5 or 6. Why not, right? Why not? There's a lot we can teach each other, and there's a lot of synergy in a male-female relationship to be able to see things from a different standpoint and give each other advice, because we're so different. Is it okay not to want to get married again but have a long companion? Again, great question. Absolutely. I am actually seeing a trend. I think we're all seeing the trend, but I've definitely been seeing a trend over the last 5 years of more people that have been married before that don't want to get married again. They've done it. They raised their kids. A lot of them have older kids, and they don't want to do it again. Whether it was a bad divorce, whether it's a point of, I think sometimes people have a hard time getting out of marriages and relationships, and they don't want to go through the mess again, because let's just face it, divorces are long a lot of times and messy, and I think a lot of people are deterred from that, from having gone through that before. One thing I will say though is I think some of those people even are kind of in a place where they're like, I would be open to changing my mind for the right person though, because I never say never. So I tend to hear that. But I think the swing with most people over 50 is that they're not attached to marriage. There is again, a small percentage that really still want marriage at that age. But I think we're looking at financial assets, children, grown children, all kinds of things that people bring to the table that they don't want to maybe do that long term. Okay, so then I've got a question. Where do you go to meet more men in their 50s plus? DFW, Tarrant County. Where do you go to meet up 60 plus? Okay, here's always the best way to meet somebody. I'm a matchmaker, and I'm not going to say matchmaking, okay? I'm not. Because I think that the best way always to meet somebody is genuinely in person organically. I know it's not possible, and that's what you're asking, but I am going to say for that age group, I think it is organic. Where's the best place to find somebody in that age group? They're not in bars. If they are, then you don't want to meet them. At that age, if they're hanging out in bars, that's not your person. But I will say any of your interests, if you like the arts, if you like cycling, if you like movies, if you like, there's all kinds of groups and all kinds of, I mean, if you like golf, go golfing. If you like Top Golf, do the things that you like to do, your hobbies, the things you enjoy. I think even people, I mean, this is just so simple. If you don't have a lot of hobbies even, go eat. So a lot of single men in their 50s and 60s go eat dinner somewhere because they don't want to sit home and make food for themselves. They go and sit at a bar at a nice restaurant or a decent restaurant so they can get a good meal. And they're sitting there usually by themselves. It's such a great place. Ladies, if you would just branch out and give it a try, go sit there by yourself, be okay with being by yourself, be okay with space and time and no conversation, eye contact, the way things used to be before our phones got us all addicted to looking at something. People, you notice most people sit down at a bar, if they're there by themselves, and they pick up their phone and they're scrolling through and they're looking at email. It's like, stop. If people just picked their face up and started looking around and smiling and talking to people, it doesn't matter if you start talking to the couple next to you that are together or the old married couple next to you, right? It doesn't matter who you're talking to. If somebody across the bar sees you engaging, they see you as somebody who's approachable and they're going to be willing to approach you or say something to you. So what matters is that you get out. So I just feel like it's super important that if you are single, you are looking to meet people, that you get out and you meet them, you face to face. And, this includes, I've said it a million times, and I'll say it again. People always joke with me over the years. They're like, Jen, I'm not going to meet anybody in the grocery store. Sure, you could. I've met a million people. I've talked to so many people in grocery stores all the time. And I've been hit on a lot in grocery stores. Why? Because I'm not on my phone. I'm grocery shopping. I'm looking around. I'm saying hi to people. I'm trying not to bump them with my cart, and they're doing the same thing. And maybe we're looking at something together and conversations start. I mean, I actually have had people walk up where I've been asking the produce guy, like how to pick a watermelon. Which still escapes me because sometimes I get bad ones and I don't understand because I thought I knew how. But anyway, and I've actually had men come from the store to help the produce guy help me pick out a watermelon. They'll start picking up watermelons. And I mean, I'm just telling you, you can meet anybody if you get out. But I have said this, I think the last time I did a show, some of you have gotten so lazy since COVID. Sorry, but start going out and doing things. Go walk your dog at a dog park, right? If you have a dog, take your dog to a dog park. Most of you anyway, this is how you're walking your dog. Your dog's on a leash and you're like this on your phone. The poor dog doesn't even get you time when he's, running around outside. If you take your dog out, take him to a dog park. You'll meet a million people that love dogs, and you'll meet some really cute girls and really cute guys there, right? So try different dog parks in different parts of town. Try going to the lake. So we have different lakes and things in different cities. Try going to the lake and walking your dog at the lake and sitting down, reading a book with your dog. Not today because it's hot as Hades because everybody would not be able to make it. But I'm just saying, like, there are lots of things you can do. Dog training if you have, dogs. It's just there's a million excuses and things. Book clubs, if you love reading books, book clubs are a thing. They have online book clubs. I've even seen these groups on here. On my phone, my thing is about to go dead. I've even seen groups on here that like to go to dinner. So one of my friends is Asian, and he belongs to an Asian group on Facebook, and they share different places to go eat dinner. And some of them decide they're going to meet up on there too. Well, have you tried this restaurant? Well, I'm going to go this Friday, and so several of them meet up. It's such a great way to meet people. So start engaging. And social media, same thing. You know what? I have some people getting married here. Soon, in a couple days actually, that actually met on my page. They actually met on my page. I've had several people that met on my page and started dating and got married. So it's who's to say that you can't meet people here on social media? Sorry, I almost choked. Robert said, sorry, I have to go, heading out to buy a dog and a book. All right, Robert's listening. Okay, so that is my answer to that. Get out and meet people. Where more quality men who want marriage over 50 can be found. Many in this age range and over 60 still want hookups. What? I mean, isn't everyone in this age range a little too old for this type of behavior? Kim, yes, they are too old for this type of behavior. Problem is, if these men are getting it, then let them have at it, and let the women that are giving it to them cheaply, let them all hang out together and have a good time, because eventually these men will get tired of it and be seeking a long-term relationship. Just make sure you do a sexually transmitted disease test before you go there. But having said that, I just said, where do these guys hang out? They hang out on my thread. Here's one way. These guys on my thread, amazing men on my thread that comment every day. Like I said, restaurants, they're out eating dinner. They're out doing sports and things that they enjoy doing. Most of the good ones over 50 and 60 that want a relationship are going to be keeping their eyes open as well when they're out doing these things. So I would just say to you, ladies and gentlemen, go out, meet people in person, keep your eyes peeled, stay off your phone, and don't go to bars. Bars are where a lot of people are hooking up. Too much alcohol isn't good for anybody. By the way, if anybody wants, one of my friends sent me this video of this woman that does podcasts, and she was talking about alcohol and the effect. She interviewed somebody that talked about the effects of alcohol on the body. It was astounding. It was about an hour long. Most unbelievable. If anybody wants me to send that to them, it was an amazing podcast on the effects of alcohol on the body, which aren't good. So for those of you that think that 1 drink a day, 2 drinks a day, or you're having regular drinks every week, and you want some more research on that and want to hear what the current research, let me know. I'd be happy to send that over to you. I think alcohol is a big, big problem in the single world, with people drinking too much and then losing their senses. We need to keep our senses about us. We need to be aware. We need to be present as to who we're meeting. So here's another. If you don't know someone, don't send them a Facebook request and expect to be added. It makes 0 sense, yet I see this on a lot of singles groups. Okay. Well, I'm going to disagree with you, only from the standpoint of how else is somebody going to meet? Maybe they see your picture and read your comments on your post and go, boy, we have a lot in common. I really love to meet her. And so they send a Facebook request. But I think a Facebook request with a note, like with an email, is the best way to go. So that way we know it's sincere and that somebody's just not collecting Facebook friends, right? Because somebody else asked about that, and we'll get to that later. Who is more accepting of disabilities in dating, men or women? Jason, I'm going to absolutely say women are. I think women are also a lot more open when it comes to, I think women are a lot more open too when it comes to dating anybody, even from a look standpoint. You'll get a couple superficial women. We see it. That are, and women tend to be more superficial, I think, right now than men are. I said it, and I believe that. I think that that women are more superficial, but I think that women are also more open. The ones that are really motivated to be in a relationship, they're also a lot more open to overlook things because they know they're not perfect. They don't expect somebody else to be perfect. And that's just a really healthy way to look at things. Any comments on the personal page that I need to tend to? No. Okay. Good stuff. I have a why is consistency so hard? Why is consistency so hard? Because people don't have to be consistent. I think that is the answer to that question. Consistency requires accountability. It requires patience. It requires being present. It requires what's the word I'm looking for? It requires being more analytical and thoughtful. And people are lazy. I think this world, everything's moving so quickly. There's so many options out there. It's not just in dating. It's just with everything. With every decision we have to make in life, we go to the store to buy soup and we've got 1,000 soups we can choose from, right? I mean, it's like, and maybe somebody likes a soup and they go back to the store and they're like, well, that was good. Let me try something else since I liked that. It's just options. People want to exercise their options. Sadly, I personally think that it's the online dating world that has killed consistency, because I look at relationships like my parents who've been married for, oh my God, 61 years in July, 61 years. And everything about them is, their whole relationship is about consistency. Everything they, now of course because they're older too, they're in their 80s, everything they do is based on consistency. My parents are pretty predictable. I know that if I call them at 8 o'clock at night and say, hey, what are you doing? They're watching a show on TV, one of a series of shows. But there's just a lot of consistency built into their life and their relationship and what they like to do, and they both know that. But back when we didn't have online dating and we didn't have all the options, people stuck with something. So they met somebody they liked and they pursued them, and they stuck with pursuing them. And they didn't have, 10,000 perceived options waiting behind them when they saw one sign of something they didn't like, or didn't like when they heard something they didn't like. So I feel like consistency is a byproduct of options. And so when people start taking away options, their consistency shows up, because it allows you to be more present in your decisions and what you have in front of you. Brent says that singles Facebook groups, he's met some amazing people that he'd love to date in these Facebook groups. I like that. I love that, actually. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. How do you stay open and not get burnt out on dating? How do you stay open and not burn out on dating? Here's how you do it. Don't burn yourself out. Stop dating a million people. If you're on the dating sites and it's turn and burn, and you're finding like it's the same old people or the same old situation, you're getting ghosted, you're getting ignored, people aren't who they say they are, get off the sites. That's how you don't get burned out. I think most of the people that are burned out on dating are burned out because they've been on online dating. Are there people that have found love at doing it? Yeah. They've either gotten lucky or they were willing to stick with it and go through the burnout and keep a good attitude. I think many years ago, online dating sites were a lot different, and they weren't what they are today. I mean, even 5 years ago, I don't know, I'm just going to guesstimate that. Before Tinder and the swipe thing came in, I think we still had a better ratio of people possibly meeting online, and it wasn't as turn and burn, because it wasn't just a going by a face. We turned it into a really superficial process. So I feel like the burnout comes from the process. It also comes from, again, you people that are online dating, that swipe thing, that is a mentality wise, brain wise, it's not good for your brain. It's not good for the growth of your brain. It feeds into an addiction, and your attention span, it's training your attention span to stay short. There's so many things about it that are not even healthy, right? So I feel like the burnout piece with online dating. Try pulling it back, guys. If you've been on the online dating sites, you know what you're getting there. You know what you're getting, and it's the same thing no matter where you go. Pull yourself off the sites. Try meeting people organically, right? There's matchmaking. There's all kinds. I mean, I have an app. I mean, we're still working on my app, but I have an app that's working. That is matching people, and it's forcing a slowdown, which is why I made it this way, because it's like matchmaking. You're not getting 10,000 options. You're getting 5 or 9. And you have to choose. And you have to choose people that maybe you wouldn't have chosen for yourself, which is what you need to do anyway, whether you're on my app or whether you're out. Try going out with people that ask you out, whether you feel butterflies or not. Try something different. Like, try going out with somebody because you're intellectually stimulated by them. Try going out with them because you have this commonality with them. Try going out with them because you like who they are and you enjoy the conversation with them, and even if you're not attracted. So Robert says over dating can. I'm gonna put my glasses on because I am old. Over dating can also suggest that you can't commit. It may actually be true. More healing might be a better activity. Good point. I didn't bring that up, and you're 100% right. Which came first, though, the cart or the horse? You know what I mean? Because it's like over dating could be because you can't commit. But I think a lot of times the process for over dating is also because you have more options and you're exercising them and you don't want to commit now. So I tend to find people that are on these dating apps don't want to commit because they have so many options. So they've gone out with you on Friday, but they have 10 more messages in their inbox, and maybe a couple of them are people they might want to meet. And what if they miss out? So it's like, that's a way in which people are not committed. And so I think they're intertwined. I could be wrong, but I tend to push those together. How do you let go of someone who doesn't want to choose you, who's not available to you? You know what? That answer is really simple, and I'm going to keep it really simple. Choose yourself. If somebody's not choosing you, it's your job to choose yourself, because nothing you can do, say, or be is going to change their mind if they can't commit to you. Period. The end. So it's a matter of how much time are you going to waste, how much energy are you going to waste, and that process people go through thinking in their brain that if I do this and I do this and I do this, I will change them. And then when you don't, it wears on your self-esteem and your self-confidence versus being a reflection of who they are, right? And most of those people that can't commit, a lot of them will tell you that they can't and they won't and they're not ready. If somebody says they're not ready, it's so important for you guys to listen to that. So I had a girl ask me what are best first date questions. And I want to make sure I get to this because I have this different mentality about first dates that a lot of people don't have. Most people are like, ooh, let's steer away from, religion and politics. You know what? Religion always is important, right? If you are a Christian and you want to be with another Christian, you can't be with an atheist or whatever. That's a really important question. So don't steer away from the important ones. And politics, let's just say since the last 4 years, politics, and we saw it actually in the last 8 years, it's been growing. But the last 4 years, statistically, we're seeing that people are intolerant to the other party. There are actually dating sites that are just for conservatives, just for more democratic liberal types. And it's because they can't intermingle. It's sad. I mean, it's sad because we should all be able to talk about the, things the way we used to. And you shouldn't have to fight about stuff. But we've come so far and the parties are so divided now. It's a question to ask because they're definitely deal breakers, sadly. So I think the tough questions, religion and politics, need to be asked on a first date. I think the other thing that always needs to be asked on a first date is you always, this is the other thing people steer away from that you shouldn't. You always want to know about previous relationships, right? So you were married, you're divorced. Why? Tell me what happened, right? What are you listening for? You're listening for the story and the accountability, right? What happened? Why did you divorce? And what was your role in it? Because I don't care if somebody got cheated on repeatedly, what was your role in it? It could have been putting up with it. It could have been, turning a blind eye. It could have been not wanting to change your life and your lifestyle, so you overlooked it. I mean, there's a million reasons why people put up with certain things, right? So there's an accountability factor. No matter what somebody did to you, there's always an accountability factor. Somebody that says, well, I was abused, I was beaten, I was verbally abused. What is their role in it? So somebody should be able to say, well, that happens and that's very sad. And yes, that definitely would be a good reason, biblically and everything else, to get out of a marriage, right? But what is your role in it? And yes, there's a role, because if you allowed it, if you were probably raised that way, and there was some attraction to that, or some unworthiness factor that exists that allowed that to happen, that's something you need to deal with, right? So as much as it hurts me to say, like, it's very unfortunate when people get in abusive relationships. It's heartbreaking to watch. The very first thing you need to do is get out. The second thing you need to do is run to therapy, because you need to heal your heart from what happened to you, and you need to heal your heart from the wound that led you there, right? And so that is what I will say about that. Always ask about previous relationships and accountability. Hobbies and interests, again, same thing. People don't realize how important lifestyle is, right? I do this for a living. I set people up. If on the weekend, your partner wants to go camping in a tent without air conditioning, and they want to, go travel, for the summer, somewhere, with a backpack overseas, or they want to sit in front of the TV all the time, and you're a get up and go person, and the idea of camping for you is a 4-star hotel. These are things that need to be discussed, right? Lifestyle is super important. So what do you do for fun, right? I tend to think too, and maybe this is just me as I've kind of gotten older and thought through this process more too. I think the older we get, we need to really pay attention to our heart and soul, because at this point, we all should be passionate about something and stand firmly and believe in something. You need to find people that believe in the things that you believe in, that value the things that you value, that believe, like I said, in the things and causes that you do, that enjoy the same things that you do. I used to think of, I've done animal rescue my whole life. My whole family's kind of been in that. Since I was little, we always rescue. I was mostly dogs, but I found dogs everywhere. But my whole family is like that. I mean, my sister rescues baby squirrels, and we're all animal lovers. I was raised that way. I've realized that it's not something for me that is an option. If somebody isn't an animal lover, if they aren't an animal lover, they're not as passionate they may not be as passionate as I am, but passionate. I would love them to be as passionate as me. But it's a deal breaker for me because it's that much a part of my life, and I enjoy animals, and I enjoy their presence in my life, and I respect their lives and their presence in whatever they're doing, right? So to me, I enjoy sitting and watching the birds and the rabbits eat in my front yard every day that I feed them. And that would be something that I wouldn't want somebody to frown upon or look upon. I know I'm using that as a silly example, but you know what? I would love if somebody enjoyed that with me. That would be something that is a big part of my life. That's a big part of my heart that I really want. So make sure you're in touch with you and the things that you're passionate about and the things that mean something to you, because I think the older we get, the more important those little things become, because the world becomes less important, and how we spend our time, how somebody spends their time and their energy are the things that they value the most. Those are the things you want to ask about. Those are the things you want to listen for. Even saying, tell me about your family. I think that's a great first date question. Here's red flags when they have no relationship with their family. Here's a positive out of a red flag like that. So somebody says, you know what? I don't talk to my family anymore, right? If it's left like that, my family was mean to me. They treated me horribly. I've cut them off. I don't speak to them anymore. Okay. Good you had boundaries, because that matters. But what have you done about it? So I'd be listening or asking the question, okay, you didn't have a healthy relationship with your family. So how have you made peace with that? Right. So because everybody needs their family and we need, that love. So how have you made peace with that? Have you done some work around that? What have you learned about yourself in that process? What did you learn about them in the process? Ask it all. What you don't ask is what you're not going to get. So ask about their family upbringings, and their relationships with their siblings. Travel experiences with travel. I especially think this is important for people that like to travel. If you like to travel, ask people where ask other people that you meet where they've been. So tell me about your travels. Where's the best place you've ever gone, right? What's your favorite vacation and why? Because number one, you want to make sure they've gotten out of their house. Do you know how many people have never traveled? And if traveling's a love of yours and you really enjoy and you're ready to explore, which a lot of people are as they get older, they're getting ready they want to explore the world more. You want to find out if that person has a sense of adventure, spontaneity, all that good stuff that comes from that. Career and ambitions, big one. How do you weed out somebody who's lazy from somebody who actually has ambition and drive? And that is, what are you doing? It's funny. I was talking to somebody, I strike up conversations with lots of people, and I was talking to somebody who's retired, and he was telling me how bored he was. He was like, I feel like I'm not useful anymore. I've got to find something to do, and that tells you a lot about who they are, their character, their work ethic. It separates the lazy from the motivated. And that's so important, because ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you equally, women don't want a lazy man and men don't want a lazy woman. I hear men that have tons of resources. So financially, they don't need a woman to have a dime. But what they do need the woman to have, right? What they do need her to come with is passion and drive and ambition, and to be passionate about something. So I feel like that's super important, is to ask them about their career, ask them about what they love, because everybody wants somebody who has drive and ambition. Childhood memories. Great one. Again, what's your favorite childhood memory? Hopefully somebody has one. If they don't, red flag, right? But you learn a lot. Let me tell you what you learn from somebody's childhood memory. Okay, this is the psychologist in me. Here's what you learn from somebody's childhood memory. Somebody gives you a memory, listen to it, because they're telling you their love language. They're telling you what means something to them. They're telling you a lot about their soul. So ask about their childhood memories. Future plans, not a stupid question. It's not an job interview question. It's a question about, what do you want for your future, right? So you're 50 years old. Do you want to retire? What do you want to do for the rest of your years? If you're in your 30s, so people are just getting out, what are your future plans? God, make sure somebody has them if they're in their 30s, 20s or 30s, right? Make sure they've thought this through and they have some kind of ambition and plan. Passions and dreams, again, I said it. If somebody doesn't have passions, nobody wants somebody that isn't passionate about something in life. You have to bring something else to the table besides your good looks and money. And if you don't have either one of those, you better bring something. Favorite books, movies, and music. I love this one. I think this one's just fun. I think this kind of tells you about somebody. Um, you can learn a lot about somebody from these questions. Books. I mean, here's somebody likes to read mystery novels. They have more of a creative side probably to their personality. I'm one of those nonfiction readers. I haven't read a fiction book in years. What does that tell me? I'm more analytical. I like factual things. I like research. I like hearing things that are real, not, I don't live in la la land. So it's like, it tells you about that level of their personality. Are they reading fiction or nonfiction? What kind of movies do they like? Do they like, again, mysteries? Do they like gory movies? Do they like, um, uh, what is the word I'm looking for? Autobiographies, nonfiction kind of things. Do they like funny movies? I mean, what do they like tells you a lot about who they are and their personality as well. So I think that's super important. Plus, when you go to sit down to go see a movie, you want somebody that wants to see the movies that you want to see, right? I'll say too, your hobbies, just make sure that like, for example, if you love college football or NFL football, if it's a big part of your life, you better make sure somebody loves it too. Because if it's a big part of your life, you don't want to miss out on that. I've got a client right now, female, that loves golf. She doesn't want to be with anybody that doesn't golf because she loves it. And she's growing in her golf game and she wants to be a part of that community and golf on a regular basis. She wants somebody who golfs. It's just, hobbies can be really important to people. Relationship goals. Here's where I'm going to end it, everybody. So I think this is a great question to ask and be listening for. These questions that we're going through on first dates, these are also great things to keep in mind as you're getting to know somebody. What are their relationship goals? You know what you're going to find out here? You're going to find out what their intention is. Is their intention the same as yours? So we have to know what people want. What are they looking for? Where are they going? What is the ideal relationship like for them? What did they not want? What did they want? I've told you guys before. I ask on my app. I ask non-negotiables. What are three non-negotiables? 3 must-haves in your relationship. They're different, but what are the 3 non-negotiables? 3 things you just absolutely won't put up with. What are 3 things that are super important to you that you're not willing to negotiate on? These are 2 big areas that you should ask because it lets you know where people are relationally. And then this relationship goals, especially if you're younger, do you want to get married? Do you want to have babies, right? Do you want to have a family? So ask the big questions. You can eliminate somebody immediately off the bat if they're not in line with what you want. And don't think somebody's going to change just because, I've already got a child with my first wife. I don't think I want any more. If they say that, you probably should consider that your great, personality and looks and everything isn't going to change their mind if they really don't want it. So don't beat your head against the wall. And spend and miss years of your life. Do you know how many women have missed years of their life and never end up having kids because they missed out because they thought somebody might change their mind? If something like that's important to you, you need to go after it. Okay, I enjoyed this. I feel like we could do this forever. And here's me. I love answering questions, guys. So it's like my favorite thing to do. Because I do my discussions every single week or every other week with you guys. And they're always my topics and things that trigger me that you guys do and say. They're not from me, but they're things that I see and witness. I'm like, I'm so talking about that. I've already got my next podcast picked out because I decided to do this one at the last minute instead of that one. But it's important that you all are heard and that your questions get answered. And there's anything you guys want to hear topic wise, let me know. Message me and say, let's do a class on this. Let's talk about this because I feel like this is important. And sometimes you guys think about things or spur my memory of things we should be talking about. And you guys are out there dating in this crazy world. not in your world, so I want to know what you're experiencing. I hear from my clients. I get feedback. I'm watching you guys. I'm watching what's, happening in the dating world. But your experiences mean a lot. So if you're seeing a trend or something's happening and you want me to talk about it, let me know. I'd love to include it as well. And I guess that's it. Just remember, share the podcast with your friends. The more people that listen, the more healthy people we get out there that are available for dating. So share the podcast and make sure that you're tuned in every 2 weeks. So love you guys. We are coming upon the 4th of July weekend here, so have a great holiday. Have a safe holiday. God bless you, and I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. This is Jennifer. Thanks for listening today, and please subscribe to the podcast. Each show, we're going to have new topics and information. If you'd like to find out more about coaching or matchmaking, please go to my website at lovejen.com, or you can find me on my Facebook page, my personal page at Jennifer Stiers.